Everybody, we're back. So we're going through the digestive system. This is going to be part 5, where we're talking about the serosa, a little bit about the regulation, and we're going to start the mouth. So just to kind of wrap up, um, the mesocolon is an extension of the mesentery that's anchoring the colon to the abdominal wall, and the intraperitoneal is when an organ is enclosed by mesentery on both sides, right? So it's like really held into place. And so this is considered to be within the peritoneal cavity when that happens. So some examples of that are going to be like stomach, liver, and then parts, but not all of the small and large intestines. So just some like key areas. So the retroperitoneal is when retroperitoneal is when organs are going to be kind of pushed back, lying on the posterior component of the body and the internal cavity, obviously. So, and it's covered by peritoneum on the anterior side only. And so it's considered, since it's just, on the anterior side, on the one side, considered to be on the outside of the peritoneal cavity in general, right? Because it's not covered on both sides. So examples of this are going to be the duodenum, pancreas, as well as parts of the large intestine, which we'll get to in a little bit. Here's kind of what it looks like. So, say you were going in for abdominal surgery, the organs in there have to stay in place. Remember, humans are upright, and so one of the things that's very important is with all animals, but definitely in your humans, because we got to keep everything in place. Okay, so let's take a look at kind of what we're discussing. So the lesser omentum is going to be right here on this like internal groove of the stomach. The greater omentum is going to be on the larger side curvature of the stomach, as well as draping down kind of right in front of all of the smaller intestines, as well as covering part of the um, transverse colon of the large intestine as well. Um, Other components that we're looking at here, just so you know, orientation wise, here's that gigantic liver, super old, super awesome organ, making so many different digestive enzymes, processing so much for the body. Wow, jack of all trades there. Gallbladder storing some of the bile, actually, that is produced by the liver that is used in aided indigestion. Here's the ascending colon here, right? So the food bolus would exit right here from the small intestine into the large intestine and make the journey up and then across and then back down again and out towards the rectum as well. Okay, so that's them. Think of the lesser omentum is going to be up higher, but it's also, literally just smaller. There's just less of it, right? As well as the greater omentum being like there's just a lot more of it. Okay, so now we're kind of like we're pulled back the anterior portion of this individual. And so we're going to go ahead and start looking at how things are kind of held in place in the internal components. So this is like in these serous membranes. Okay, so we talked about the greater omentum before. So let's just say we like pulled it up, right? And so it's like pushed up over here now. So what we're looking at now is we're looking at things like the mesocolon mesentery as well. And so this is going to be meso meaning middle or, kind of in the middle of. So this is going to be centrally located on the internal component of or in the deep component of the large intestine. And it's going to be holding specifically onto things like the small intestine, keeping it in place, but also keeping it properly vascularized, right? So there's like a lot of vasculature in here. Right, so there's that. Okay, so the regulation of the digestive tract. So things that are moving through the digestive tract have to be pushed through that like long tube. And so this is generally going to be like kind of it over a long time, evolutionary time, we've really figured out many ways to regulate what's going on in there, right? And so it's very different from many other parts of the body, say respiratory system, for example, which is super new, relatively speaking. Anyway, so the digestive tract can be controlled by many different components. Some of them are neural, some are hormonal, and others are paracrine mechanisms, which we'll get into. So neural control itself are basically a type of reflex. We call them the myoenteric reflex, right? So they're the short ones. These are going to be stretch or chemical stimulation, meaning like we're sensing food there because Oh, well, we used to be small, but oh, now there's a food bolus in there, so we've stretched in different directions, and so that's that stretch sensation. Also, chemical stimulation, so things like carbohydrates, things like fats, proteins, all that good stuff, would be what stimulates. Um, and let's see here, what else? Oh, stimulate, sorry, peristalsis. Um, so the vasovagal, we're referring specifically to like a neural component coming off of like uh, of the cranial nerves, and so sorry, oh, I had to swallow a couple tea, a little bit of tea there. So this is a parasympathetic stimulation, and so what this is doing is these are longer reflexes. These are going to be going for they're long also because they're long range, right? So things that are short reflexes are like this is all happening right there in that area, and like long ones, they're actually traveling all the way through with the central nervous system. And so what these are doing is they're generally going to be helping us move the food bolus through using peristalsis as well, but also causing us to start the secretive process, right? Hormones as well. So hormones, as you know, are chemical messengers. They are secreted into the bloodstream. And so, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be stimulating distant parts of the digestive tract. Some of them are ones that are like secretin, which is going to be stimulating like secretion, right? So this is kind of some old ways to do it. And now we're talking about the paracrine secretion. So these are chemical messengers that are going to be like really fast acting, and they actually diffuse through these tissue fluids, and they target cells specifically. They turn on individual cells. Okay. So when we're talking about things like mouth through the esophagus, which we're going to pop into next, things that we want you to be able to have as the takeaways are being able to describe the gross anatomy of the digestive tract from the mouth to the esophagus, so like not a huge amount. Describe the composition and functions of saliva, of which there are a few. Also, let's see here, describe the nervous control of salivation and swallowing as well. Some reflex in there, some other stuff. Okay, so introduction to the mouth. The mouth is known as the oral cavity or the buccal, which means cheek, right? Buccal cavity as well. So what this is this is like food intake. It's landing here. So it's gonna have, I mean, a lot happens here. So number one is going to be chewing and mechanical as well as the beginning of chemical digestion. Taste and other sensory responses to food that are going to let us know that what it is that we have in our mouth is actually food and not like poison or non-food items like rocks and all that kind of stuff. Along with finally processing it down to the point where we can actually swallow it. The mouth is helpful in speech as well as respiration as well. It's enclosed by cheeks, hence the buccal cavity, the lips, lingual, and the palate. I'm sorry, the lingual is the lungs, labial is the lips, as well as the palate. Okay, let's go ahead and continue with the mouth on the next one, but I hope this is helpful and I hope you're having a great day. Bye bye.